Good morning, comrades. You're listening to WHIVLP New Orleans 102.3. This is Good Morning Comrade, the number one socialist radio program in the New Orleans area. This is Jeff here talking to you. You hear the sound of my voice. And also, there's a gnat like flying in front of my face. What's going
Gnats
on?
everywhere, dude. It's
Yeah,
so
man.
gross. It's
And
just country of
uh,
gnats. It's the
coming to you
plague.
live from New Orleans, Louisiana. Robert Johnson, what's up, my dude? How you doing?
I'm all right. I just came from outside because I was trying to
So you're covered
polish.
in sweat, is what you're saying.
Pretty much, it's so disgusting out. It's like you
Mm-hmm.
can't be outside for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to polish my car. I kind of ruined the paint job because I was trying to get bugs out. I was trying to get bugs and scratches off, and I cut through the clear coat.
Damn.
And I got clear coat, and I got the color match paint, and now there's like overspray to where like no real person's gonna care that there's like overspray on the hood. Nobody's gonna care, or like that the
You
side
care.
panel is like yeah, but I do because I'm an ADHD like weirdo. Um, so like I'm super into it, and I'm like I'm just gonna have to deal with it. I'm just gonna have to just be like, yep, lesson learned. If I want to try again, I can buy more paint and try to cut through the clear coat and add a new one again. But it's a learning process. I'm a little mad about it, but at the end of the day, the car still rules. It's still it's still my Swedish Volvo Moose Puncher, and she's great. I'm just being weird. Other than
Yeah,
that,
that's
it's
fine.
been just like I said, disgustingly hot in New Orleans. Went to Pride. Went to Pride last week. Went to the Pride Parade.
Nice.
I
How was
probably
that?
had like it was good. I probably had like 200 ounces of liquid, and that wasn't alcohol at all because it was just so hot.
It was
I thought I
June.
was gonna die. It's June and the world's ending, so
Yeah.
yeah, it has a little bit to do with it. It's pretty bad. I did notice in our in our pride that there seem to be a lot of people who when corporations like we didn't have anybody as bad as like Raytheon in our pride parade, which I've heard stories of other parades having, like Raytheon and Boeing and stuff like that, but we did have Shell. And I was very pleasantly surprised to watch people in the crowd like actively turn their backs on the Shell
Nice.
float, and them also actively turn their backs on the police, to where I'm like, yeah, like police should not be here. Police should not be at Pride. Even if I was if I was like the chief of police, like I would be like, hey, we'll do whatever you need us to do, but we're not going to be uniformed involved in Pride because that would be not appropriate.
It's totally flies
It's
in the
not.
face of the history of
Yeah.
it because I mean, like literally, the entire point of Pride was. I mean, the original Pride was a riot, right?
Yeah.
And people don't think about Stonewall and shit like that, but like that's literally the history. And you've talked about it on this program in the past. So I mean,
Absolutely.
like if you look in our archive, you can definitely uh, get all smartened up on that stuff. But yeah, definitely no cops, no Zionists in Pride. How about that?
Yeah.
Uh, was there any issues with that when it came to the whole?
So I know that we had like temple whatever at Pride. It was just like Jews, doing Jew thing at
It
our
ain't
at our
about
Pride.
Jews, right?
Right. But my point is that they were received like for me. I was like clapping and cheering for them. Nobody else, just normies in the crowd. I know that the PSL had like a die-in on the route, and I know that they were at Jackson Square. So I'm curious to know because I don't know how they responded when they came. I'm assuming, but what I know about our local like PSL groups that they responded positively. They really had all the smoke for like Shell.
Mhm.
The shit because that's when they had their die-in like was in front of the Shell float.
Yeah.
Um, and but what we did have though, which I thought was nice, which I haven't seen, I'm sure other cities have them too, because I kept thinking about the Philly Pride Parade where Palestinian protests like stopped the parade and were like, no pride and genocide. And my thing about that was, I'm like, I don't understand. If I was like the organizer, had anything to do with that parade in Philly, my first instinct would have been to just be like, okay, stop the parade, make room, and invite them into the parade. Like, you're now in the parade.
Mhm.
Because like, yeah, they shouldn't like, I'm not queer, but I say this all the time. I'm not queer, but I grew up in the neighborhood. So if
Mhm.
old, boomer, Gen X, gay white men, anybody who is queer out there listening to this, if how terrible they can be, and people like that need to be told about themselves, and that's a lot of what like corporate pride turned into. Now, I took the long way around to tell you in our Pride Parade, we had not only did we have Palestinian protesters, we also had, after the last float and after the police detail, there was a whole nother float of just like it was a St. Andrew's cross like being pushed through the street with like
Mhm.
people doing BDSM stuff on it, and
Okay.
people had like a great banner that just said no pride in kink, and it was just like so it was like all the kink people plus all the Palestinian people
Man,
in Kefias all marching down the street, and I just like second lined in with them, just joined right on in. And like people doing BDSM stuff on like the St. Andrew's cross, do I think it's cringe? Yes. Does it
Mhm.
affect me? No. So I
No.
don't care. Like that's the thing. And the idea that, yeah, there shouldn't be any, if you're queer and you want to make Mama Marsha P. Johnson proud, then yes, you should support people who, you should be against a corporate pride, and you should be supportive of anti-genocide protests at
Mhm.
Pride. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that we had space for that in this city. I was very excited to see that. And so good on you, New Orleans. I'm proud of you. I also ended up making
Man, really quickly,
the
you
yeah, go ahead.
reminded me of the like stupid freaking. You remember like when they had the whole like kink and pride debate like a couple of years
Yeah,
ago, and
so
like people like
stupid, dude.
Vosh or whatever, like all
Oh
these
my
like
god.
screamers are like, actually, we shouldn't have kink and like this freaking dude, like this.
That guy, yeah, Douse does protest too much.
Yeah,
Let's don't I
name check
respect our audience too much
idiots
to
like that.
talk about Vouch. But yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
But no, I was just like that. Just like unlocked a memory from like one of the stupidest things that I can ever remember
Oh
ever. You
my
know
god.
what I mean?
Those seem like halcyon days now, don't they, though?
Yeah,
They seem quaint.
yeah. Like now we talking about straight up genocide in Gaza and like
Absolutely.
the end of the world as we know it, essentially. But
But
yeah,
yeah,
man.
so I was happy that we had that contingent. I also, because I guess I am at my job, they're like, Robert, you know about the gays. Make us a pride social media post. So I made one, and I was just like, I'm not gonna do a rainbow flag because the request from my bosses were to make it tasteful. And
Oh boy.
so I didn't do rainbow flags, not because it's not tasteful, just because they're kind of tacky. So I did like the bisexual streamer colors, and
Oh.
then so it went from make it tasteful to, hey, can you put some rainbows in there? Can you make it more gay? And I was just like, all right, bro. So ended up doing the rainbow, which looked
Tastefully gay. Make it tastefully gay.
awful,
Mhm,
awful. It's just so busy
mhm,
and terrible that, like, I don't know. I'm not saying it needs to go anywhere. If you like the rainbow, go for it. Again, who cares? Just because
mhm,
I have a hard time color matching it in Canva for my job,
mhm.
um, doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Go for it. Knock yourself out. I'm just saying aesthetically, I'm not a fan. Um, but yeah, so
This is
that's
why we
that's
come
what
here
we
for the.
did.
This is why people come here for the hot takes on so I would say that the best like color like themed flag has to be the trans flag, right? Like that pink and that like baby blue and the
Mm-hmm.
white. That one works out really good, I think.
No, I'm a fan. Okay, no,
Mhm.
I like that. I mean, honestly, almost anything's better than the rainbow. The only thing worse than the rainbow is just like the inclusion flag where it's just like trans and it's just like let's put triangles in here, and it's just like, what am I
It's too
supposed to
busy.
do with this as a graphic designer?
Mm-hmm.
This is just
Too
like, it
busy.
looks like my cat threw up,
Yeah.
you know, on a rectangle. Like, what am I supposed to do here?
So many colors, and it's just a
Again,
bunch
if
of
you
lines
like it,
and
you
kind of
like it.
shapes.
Like, you know, go for it. You
Yeah.
know, Gritty rocks it. You know, when he's doing his pride. When I'm sorry, we can't be
Oh
assigned.
wait! Is this news? Did I not know that like Gritty's not like he's? I guess I just
Oh,
read
Gritty's
about.
not binary. No,
Oh,
Gritty
I
is
didn't
not
know
a
that.
he, dude. Like, yeah, Gritty is
Yeah, I
definitely
made
not
some assumptions,
binary.
and I apologize for that.
How can you look at that thing and be like, oh yeah, I see a gender in there?
Yeah, I guess so.
Like, no,
I just
sir.
thought it was very hairy, and I just made some assumptions.
I know some very hairy she theys.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
that's not a thing.
No, well, again, this is why I say assumptions, right? This is why I say I made assumptions.
So funny. Yeah, I had one hit on me at the pool the other day, and I'm just like, I'm not there on my journey yet. Like,
A Gritty?
no, a very her shoot they them,
Oh, okay.
and I'm just
Cool.
like, I'm not cool enough for this. I'm very sorry. I my some gender frigidness, you know, virus still lives in me, and
Yeah.
I'm just not with it. But I'm sure you are for other people, person that I'm talking about, who probably just listen to this. You will find your tribe. It's just
Thanks for
not
listening,
me.
though. We
I'm just
appreciate it.
not there. Yeah, I likes what I likes. I am's what I am. But yeah,
Anyway, moving
I'm
on.
excited about our pride. I got to. Oh, I also went to. I went to an after party thing with like, it was not an after party. It was the next day with like a bunch of it was like a she they femme lesbian thing at
Okay.
at a local pool bar, and it was exciting to see you know, girls get drunk on Pride and see that they could be just as terrible as men. We really have made we've made great gender equality steps. Watch them dive in the pool when they were specifically told by the staff not to do it.
No,
You know, and
you gotta listen to the staff,
I'm like,
folks.
hey, we're really pushing that equality. We're making it.
Yeah,
I'm excited about
everybody
it.
can be obnoxious.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
well, so what else we got going on, man? I mean, I got a couple stories if you want
I
to talk
just gave
about
you
it.
like a 20-minute monologue about my life, and you're gonna what
Well,
else you got
okay,
going
all
on?
right.
Good
I guess I
lord.
can contribute to the
Get some
program.
content. My
I guess I can
gosh.
contribute to the program in some way today if I must. Let's see. The Supreme Court is still evil.
Lay it on me.
So, they are you familiar with the Memphis 7?
No, I'm not. I want to be educated though.
The Memphis 7 were some Starbucks workers, right?
Okay.
And they were essentially like fired for organizing on the job.
That's awful.
And the NLRB basically made a ruling, like essentially in protection of them. Anyway, it got appealed all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled on it today. So I guess I can just sort of like use that as a launching point to talk about this article in the Times, the New York Times. Supreme Court in Starbucks ruling curbs labor regulators' authority. So basically, they're going after the NLRB now. In a blow to the National Labor Relations Board, the justices made it more difficult to order employees to reinstate employers to reinstate fired workers. So Dateline, the 13th. That's this morning as of recording. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of Starbucks on Thursday in a challenge against a labor ruling by a federal judge, making it more difficult for a key federal agency, the National Labor Relations Board, to intervene when a company is accused of illegally suppressing labor organizing. It's a good day for union busters, is what I'm saying here. 8 justices backed the majority opinion. So also your favorite liberal justices also also supported this. So good on the Democrats for that one. It was written by Justice Clarence Thomas, our favorite justice of all of them, because he can get that bag. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson wrote a separate opinion that concurred with the overall judgment. So slay. But dissented on certain points. The ruling came in a case brought by Starbucks over the firing of 7 workers in Memphis who were trying to unionize the store in 2022. The company said it had fired them for allowing a television crew into a closed store. The workers, who called themselves the Memphis 7, said that they were fired for their union efforts and that the company didn't typically enforce rules that they were accused of violating. So, very common when employers, bosses want to like get you on some BS, they'll start enforcing rules that they didn't ever care about. They're just like on the books. And it was people saying you broke that rule, and it doesn't matter if 69 other people broke that rule too. They can just arbitrarily enforce it. It doesn't matter.
So that's gross.
Yeah. After the findings, the NLRB issued a complaint saying that Starbucks had acted because the workers had, quote, joined or assisted the union and engaged in concerted activities, and to discourage employers from engaging in these activities. Separately, lawyers for the board asked a federal judge in Tennessee for an injunction reinstating the workers, and the judge issued the order in August 2022. So basically, NLRB said, hey, you broke the rules, you fired these folks, and you need to hire them back. And a judge, basically a federal judge, said, yeah, you have to hire these people back.
Mm-hmm.
The agency asked judges to reinstate workers in such cases because resolving the underlying legal issues can take years. So it's not even like saying, hey, put him back in, like hire him back, force him back to work. Because like they're right, but there's a chance enough to be there right, and it could be in the legal process in this country is so slow that like, what are you to just have these people be out of a job, that entire time?
Right.
And I mean, obviously, if you can just throw the book at somebody, put them in this legal situation and have them off the job, but like essentially like discourages union organize or discourages any kind of organizing. If you can just be like fired, even if it's BS, and like have to be forced into this process, like at least you have your job while this plays out. In its petition to the Supreme Court, the company argued that federal courts had differing standards when deciding whether to grant injunctions that reinstate workers, which the NLRB had the authority to seek under the National Labor Relations Act. Some apply a looser standard, requiring the labor board to show that there was a, quote, reasonable cause to believe the company had violated the labor law. Others use a stricter standard, requiring the board to show that not reinstating the workers would cause irreparable harm, and that the board was likely to prevail in the case. Some courts combine elements of the two standards. So basically, there's different rules in different districts, right? Different parts of the country make different rules. Some of them are like, basically the burden of proof is on or the standard of evidence, I guess, is like from anywhere from reasonable to like you have to prove that there will be irreparable harm. I'm not a lawyer. Maybe we should get a lawyer to talk about this, but like those are like different standards essentially. Starbucks argued that the stricter standard for reinstating workers should apply nationwide. So basically, they want the stricter standard, the one that screws workers over more, to be applied everywhere. The labor board argued that the apparent differences between the two standards were semantic, and that there was effectively one standard in place already, making it unnecessary for the Supreme Court to intervene. And a lot of times, the Supreme Court doesn't intervene in these kinds of things. The Supreme Court goes out of its way a lot of time to talk about like standing. You know what? Like when they'll have these rulings all the time where it's like, actually, it didn't go through this process, or the person that's bringing this ruling or this complaint forward or whatever, they'll be like, they don't have a right to do it, or all kinds of other stuff. And they'll just it basically gives them a chance to like shrug their shoulders, and be like, it's not our problem. Figure it out. Y'all figure it out. And then like whatever the ruling was before would essentially continue. But in this case, they were just like, we're gonna essentially say that. Well, so let's continue. The majority opinion rejected the board's argument that the difference between the two standards was semantic. The reasonable cause standards goes far beyond simply fine-tuning the traditional criteria, the majority wrote, and, quote, it substantially lowers the bar for securing a preliminary injunction. The opinion pointed out that in cases where other laws allow judges, so basically they're saying it's too easy to get people to get back to work. It's not easy enough for employers, for bosses to fire workers and screw them over when they're trying to organize on the job. And the Supreme Court, 8 of the 9 justices are like, you know what, that sounds good. The opinion pointed out that in cases where other laws allow judges to issue preliminary injunctions, the stricter standard was typically applied. It concluded that nothing in the labor law suggested that courts could deviate or should deviate from that approach when it came to reinstating workers. More than 400 Starbucks stores represent over 10,000 workers in the United States if unionized, et cetera, et cetera. There were just like 20 more stores that announced that they were organizing as well, or that they were filing. And there have been nationwide talks for unions on that. So yeah, that's like the latest from the Supreme Court union front. Robert, what say you?
It is definitely a war on the working class, and as it has been,
always has been,
and it's just one more front, I guess. I mean, I honestly like this is like a very long, like, I don't know. I might be being naive, but as the empire, like we all know, like the empire is falling apart. And I'm seeing TikToks of just like young people saying like, don't come talk to me about a protest at the White House unless y'all ready to do something. And I am not advocating for what that person's implying, but it's stuck in my head that like you would think, like with all the feelers out there of people, saying stuff like this, and how many people are kind of just dropping out of like the American enterprise and the American dream, that people are like, hey, we still want to do our war crimes overseas and do our settle colonial projects, but the people inside our borders are real mad. Maybe we should make it easier for them to live, so they don't get as mad at us.
Yeah, give them the bread and circuses too.
Yeah, people, who said it? I think it was maybe Napoleon that said, people with full stomachs don't fight. But no, we say no. Like our government says no, full speed ahead. Like, just make life miserable for every working class person around the globe, including the ones inside of our own territorial borders. That seems to be the play. And it's not sustainable. It's not, like, we can see it. It's the infrastructure's crumbling, infrastructure's crumbling. Our own citizens have given up on, whatever the thing called the American dream. Our society is quickly just crumbling away under our feet, and they're just like full steam ahead. They're just like, the bet is that these people at high levels of power and money and influence can be like, I can build a wall higher than the poorest can climb.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of their bet. It's the only thing I see that makes any sense.
Yeah, can they?
History says no.
Mm-hmm.
History says no, and I personally don't think they can either.
Yeah, I mean, and again, as long as the TGI Fridays jalapeno poppers are affordable,
it's going away, like, bro.
Huh?
So that's going away, though.
You think that's going to be gone? If that's gone,
it's already flying. It's already starting. Like, okay, people start.
The price of everything is going crazy.
What was it a couple months ago, or maybe like 2 months ago that went viral? People were like, I just got a meal at Five Guys. It was $36.
Oh yeah. That's,
you know what I'm saying?
That's old news.
So,
yeah.
Yes, old news. But I'm saying, like, that's the way it is now. So like you can't even get your jalapeno poppers anymore. Mm-hmm. So what are these people? When I say these people, I'm including myself. Like,
us,
what are we supposed to think? It's not great. It's not great, bro. And I don't see a way out except for capitulation to the working class, but I mean, I just feel like people with power, money, and privilege would rather have the whole thing. They would rather bring down the whole temple than have any kind of social safety net, even for the people within our own borders, let alone the people that we subjugate around the world.
Well, and they
It's
figured
scary.
out very clearly, and the Democrats are a part of this.
Oh,
Like they
they're a
figured
huge
out
part.
that you know what, we can just misdirect the argument and do everything that we can to scare the s out of like the essentially the like the like suburban the you know when the Democrats like to talk about like the Panera Bread districts or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah, yeah.
they'll basically like do everything that they can and basically like encourage. When I say encourage, like they're not directly doing it, but they definitely like will, you know, they would rather be dealing, the Democrats would, with like Trump and like whatever kind of like modern fascist like movement is dealing is like popping up right now that's based off of like grievances with like the ruling class.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but it's directed like the grievances that like people are actually feeling being directed at, you know, black people, queer people, immigrants, like anybody that's not white, right? That's just being aimed, the aggression and the animus that should be directly being pushed at at the class that runs the world, right? Literally.
Right.
They're essentially taking it, they're misdirecting it, they're holding up a mirror and basically saying, hey, look at all those people, pointing their finger, the people with the least power on earth,
Yeah. No, 100%.
politically speaking, and saying actually they're the problem and not us.
No,
And
absolutely.
it's just like using that racism and using those problems and those issues and just scapegoating entire like populations. And
I mean,
that's the secret.
we see
That's
this
the
in
secret
every
sauce.
political campaign that the Democrats run. Every part of like their whole mantra is like, well, the quote unquote far left,
Mhm.
who just don't want, you know,
They don't want to make the world any
They don't
better.
want Palestinian children turned to glass,
Mhm.
and be burnt to death. Uh, they need to capitulate to us, or Donald
Yeah.
Trump's going to do whatever. I was like, and when you break that down logically, it doesn't make any sense, because if what you're saying is
The Democrats
you,
are doing the exact same stuff.
well, yeah, you don't even have to go that far. It's just like the logic makes no sense. You're 100% right. The idea of like vote for us, or Donald Trump will do the things that we're doing right now, is that's not a winning strategy. That's another logic. That's another road of logic that makes no sense. But the idea of like, I as a crazy commie need to capitulate to you,
Mhm.
but you're saying that your base, which isn't enough to win anything federally, will vote for you because the other team's better, and I'm saying I won't vote for either of you. Wouldn't it make more sense to capitulate to me? It doesn't make any, like, but the thing, but what do
But
we always say? Exact.
losing
Say what
is
you're gonna say.
acceptable. Losing is
Exactly.
acceptable to them because that means that that's something that they can use to discipline the like the I mean, not even necessarily the left, but like anybody who's not with the program, right?
Yep.
That's why, and there's a lot of people that buy that, and that's why like Joe Biden can like try and appeal to Nikki Haley like supporters or whatever. The lady who signed a bomb like
So
saying
gross,
like
dude.
finish every freaking like person in Gaza, like just kill them all. Like the people that are support first off, you can't even win those people over. Two, like those people are crazy. If you think that you can like be by like trying to be like the quote unquote moderate in the situation, like moderately racist essentially, as opposed to like
Mm-hmm.
the real like uncut stuff, like the actual like you get to scream about building a wall and like say slurs or whatever kind of racism. Like which one you think the racists that support Nikki Haley are gonna pick? You
Yeah,
know
that
what I
never
mean?
works. Yeah,
It never
exactly.
works. But
It
it's
never works.
The only people that hear that language or that kind of thing and think, wow, that's a really smart strategy, are the people who already agree with the Democrats on everything already. They're talking to themselves. They're strategizing with themselves. They are, well, I can't say what they're doing on the radio to one another, if you know what I mean.
No, 100%. Like the idea of the worst thing for a Democrat is not losing a seat. The worst thing is not being able to parlay that power and influence into a lobbyist job afterwards. So I mean, as long as they toe the line for their donors, they'll have a secure future no matter what the vote count is. And that's the way
the
they're
plan.
looking
That's
at
the game.
it. Yeah, that's the real game. And so many people like myself are just checking out from that and just going, oh, this was never real. Okay, cool. So I don't have to waste my time voting for you. Like, you don't have to waste your time knocking on my door. We could just walk away as enemies, not as friends. But
Right,
definitely
just get out of here.
Yeah. No, I have like the idea of what it would take for me to go out and vote for a Democrat now, like they would have to be, I mean, individually I would vote for you, but geez, old Pete's you would have to be not even like an AOC I would get excited about now. It would have to be somebody like honestly with like no chance to win. No chance to win.
Well, there's no utility in that either. I mean, that's Jimmy Dore territory.
I mean, you're right, but you know what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
I'm saying like their policies would have to be something that would excite me to actually get out and go vote for them. Because I'm not going to vote. I'm not voting against people anymore. Like that's over with. That's dead. Especially when there's no difference between. I mean, okay, for all you libs listening to this, be like, well, of course there's a difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. I'm like, but really, there's no difference. Like one party wants to, give me nothing, and they're fine with me dying a slow death from microplastics and global warming. The other parties, it wants to give me nothing, and then they want to kill me quick. So it's like it's the same thing at the end of the day. Like there's effectively materially no difference. Like it all ends up.
The difference in my death. The difference is style. The difference is like you get to actually take out your aggression and say the things that trigger the libs and like do all the stuff that like makes the hogs go wild. That's the appeal of the Republicans.
Oh no, absolutely. It's team sports.
It's not material at all.
Yeah,
like the right wing, the right wing in American politics is all about like personal grievances and like animus and basically just taking it out on less powerful people. And then the libs are just like a sense of superiority. Like I'm like, oh well, we have much smarter ways of doing that. Essentially, yeah. Y'all are doing it wrong. You aren't following the rules. You're not doing the norms. You don't have your your pinky up while you're drinking your tea.
No, exactly. Here's our bomb. Here's our bombs wrapped in a trans flag.
Like, yeah, exactly. Cool. Exactly.
It's worthless to me. I mean, and the more we look at it, like the more the contradictions are just they're unavoidable at this point. Like I mean, every week when I'm on this show, it has to be like, it feels like I'm a broken record, but like, yeah, everything is like right now, it really is about Palestine. Like I can't, it's bad to support a genocide. I don't know if that's an edgy take, that genocide bad.
How could you say something like that?
Yeah, I know that's edgy. I haven't thought about October 7th in the last 20 seconds. So that's a bad thing. Apparently, I'll be canceled for that. But
think about the anti-Semitism that's happening right now.
Right, genocide bad, but also it's bad when infrastructure is crumbling, and we don't have education, we don't have healthcare, we don't have any of the things that we should have in a first world society that our tax dollars should be paying for, because it says in the Constitution, the government's job is to promote the general welfare. We don't have any of those things because we need to go melt children in Palestine. Like, this is very important for us to have a forward operating base in the Middle East, and that's why our life expectancy is going down as Americans. So that's very important, and
And
it's like, that's
give
disgusting.
trillions of dollars towards that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But when it's time to actually do something for the American people, we ain't got it. It's there's moths coming out of the pockets. It's like, what even is this for anyway? It doesn't make any sense, and like, that's why this is the kind of intersectional crossroads of everything. The argument that I just put up is just, it's the same one I always make, because even a right winger has to agree with it, because if they won't,
no,
because they're unserious and they don't care about hurting themselves.
No, they're having too much fun, like saying all the racist slurs and basically like complaining about women, like trans women in sports or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You're listening to WHIVLP New Orleans 102.3. This is Good Morning Comrade, goodmorningcomrade.com. Also, I mean, like, on the sort of like war side of things, it's just so wild to see, like, I don't know, man. I know it's been a couple of weeks since this happened, and that's like a million years in like
social
world
media
events.
Time. Yeah.
Well, in like world events time. I mean, like a couple of weeks ago, you remember? It feels like a dream almost, where like Joe Biden like comes out and basically says that like he had brokered a deal between like Israel and Hamas to essentially do a ceasefire, and like it was literally the deal that Hamas had been putting forward since October 8th. And then Israel is obviously like, well, screw that, just like always. Like, it's wild. I don't know.
Here's my thing about that, though. Here's my super hot take. It's too late now. It's too much death, too much genocide, too much destruction. But if Joe Biden would have done that on October 8th, if he would have played that game, I would have been like, hey, this guy's on it. Because I understand what you're trying to do, and I not only don't have a problem with it, I think it's a great move. But it's too late now. It's too late to try to play a game here.
Mm-hmm. He killed 40,000 people in Palestine, in Gaza already.
He did, not Israel. He did, because like you're saying, you said that. No, you said he did, and I just want to make sure, like, this is on Joe Biden. This is on us, the American people, because we, you can't give a kid a gun and then say, well, I don't know what he was planning to do with it.
Yeah,
and then he goes and kills everybody.
And this comes after, like, over and over again when, like, Joe Biden's like, well, don't cross into Rafah, don't do that. Exactly. They cross into Rafah. They don't firebomb refugee camps. Don't do that. That'll be a red line. They firebomb refugee camps, and every single time, the Biden administration and the empire essentially is just like, oh, actually, we were just kidding. We didn't actually mean that.
And that's how we're done. Like, as an empire, like even our subjugated colonies don't respect us. So that's how it's over. Like, this American project is over.
And they're so obsessed with the kayfabe of it all that they just like snap back, like they just like, oh yes, absolutely, we will defend Israel and no matter what they do. But if they did this, it's literally like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Right. Like when he draws the line, dare to cross this line, he crosses the line. Draw to cross this line, and just like does it until he walks off a cliff. Like, that's literally what's happening right now.
Well, it's not even just when you look at it from Israel's point of view too. Like, I don't know what
Israel's the one drawing the line. I mean,
they're out of their mind, because the Israeli government's like, not even just the genocide. I mean, tactically and logically, they are out of their mind, because the idea that Joe Biden says, oh, I will always be a stalwart supporter of Zionism. I'm a Zionist, and you don't have to be a Jew of Zionism. And Israel has our full undying support.
An absolute to the hilt devotee to the
that's not true.
Settler colonial project.
It's not true, though. That's the thing about it. it's not, if you're in the Israeli government or even an Israeli citizen, like you should be, and I'm sure I know there's a lot, because I keep up with this. There's a lot of smart, or at least halfway, not mouth breathing people who live in Israel who understand that is not true. That's only been true throughout history. Is like we are totally committed to this coup or colony or whoever until we're not. Until we're not, and we just go, well, that was a good time. See you later. Ask South Vietnam how we had to stop communism because of the domino theory, and we were contemplating nuking North Vietnam. We were contemplating nuking Hanoi. Your boy wanted to do that, Kissinger.
Nixon.
But at the end of the day, we packed up and got the F out.
Mm-hmm.
Asked the Kurds in Iraq. We're like, oh, we're gonna do we'll go attack Saddam. We got your back until we're like, actually we don't. Mm-hmm. Go ask any of these places that we said we're gonna back you. We're gonna give you all the military. Ask Ukraine what it do.
We don't want to play with you anymore.
Yeah, we're done with you. Like that's what we do. And anybody who just can't understand even the recent, even the ancient history of a year ago, with Ukraine and Russia is a fool. You'd be a fool to trust America. Ask Saddam how that worked. We get rid of your weapons of mass destruction. Okay, I will. I'll get rid of the weapons that you gave me. Okay, great. Okay, we're still gonna invade you. Ask Gaddafi how that worked when he denuclearized in Libya and ended up dying in a ditch. Like, you cannot trust America at all.
He died.
Ever. Never trust us. And so if I used to say to my dad, I was just having a conversation with my dad, who's just like, he's a black Jew. And I'm like, when he converted to Judaism, my first thought, and I never told him this, was that, man, I sure do hope you never try to go to Israel. That was my first thought that because I'm like, bro, they're not gonna be feeling you over there. But now I'm like, oh God, thank God. I'd be so terrified if he was like, in my golden years, I'm gonna move to my religious homeland. I'd be like, dude, you gotta get out. You gotta get out. Because when America is eventually gonna pull the plug on this, and the people who are gonna be stuck in there, it's not gonna go well for them.
I think it's pretty safe to assume that Joe Biden is not going to be the one that does that, though, right?
No, but it will happen. It will happen. Is look how close we're trying to get. We're I read the other day that we're trying. The Saudis are like, hey, can we get some nukes? And U.S. is like, well, we're kind of open to that. Let's talk about it, because we're slowly trying to back away from this Israel relationship, and we're gonna get what we want / need from that. Is the same thing that Israel's providing us right now. From
the whole point of Israel is to maintain stability in the region. If you can go directly to who does have like clout there, which the United States has been doing that since like for decades, right? The whole point of it has been to get everybody, except for Iran. Iran is like the uniting. Well, there's no better uniting force in all of the world than the United States against America. But like essentially the U.S. has essentially paid off the leadership of every single country in the region except for Iran, and just decided.
And honestly, and there's an argument to be made that the only reason why we have so much smoke for Iran is because they embarrassed us. We created a coup, and what happens with America all the time, we create a viper. And then the viper turns on us and bites us, and we go, oh, I can't believe that happened. Well, honestly, when you look at the way we've done foreign policy, it's the only logical thing is to take whatever America will give you and then turn on them.
Yeah.
Because they
will
eventually do the same to you.
That's not even just America. That's just like a history of empire. That's just like what the history of empire is. You know what I mean?
No,
it always kind of goes that way.
It's just the logical action to take. I do not trust America for. I try to talk about these. Yeah, genocide is awful. I hate that everybody's dying. I want a free Palestinian state. I sit in my car and I watch, TikToks coming out of Palestine on my lunch break, and I'm messy crying in my car over it. But I can also look at it, subjectively and or objectively and be like, this isn't gonna go well for anybody. Like, this is not good for the American colonial project. It's definitely not good for Israel. The best thing Israel could do for its own security is to make peace. To make
Which they're
peace,
not interested in.
and which they're not interested in all, because they think that we're always going to have their back, and we're not. We are going to cut and run on them whenever it's deemed politically and materially expedient for us.
It's again, it's darkly funny, but it's also very like it is kind of funny in a like really screwed up way that like there's so many like Trump supporters in Israeli leadership right now, and like you can definitely see that he is the first one that'll be the one to be like, "Yep, cut him off,
bye,
cut him off. Bye,
yeah,
bye."
Yeah, the whole thing, and it's true. Like, oh yeah, that Bibi Netanyahu wants Trump to be president because he can get what he wants out of Trump. I'm like, you're talking about a guy who doesn't pay his like vendors. Like, he doesn't pay his attorneys. This is the guy that you're betting the farm on your settler colonial project on.
Yeah,
bruh, man, I wouldn't do that. I'm just saying, I wouldn't do that.
And he also is the one that like specifically like I mean, obviously Trump is not the one that caused like all the problem, but he was one that pushed to like him and Jared moved to push like the Abraham Accords and move Jerusalem, like move the embassy of the United States into Jerusalem and all these things that, I mean, Hamas did not want, and essentially forced it upon them, and like created essentially the impetus. I'm not.
No, that's right. No, what you're saying, you don't have to. You don't.
I'm
have
not
to
like
it with a chaser.
No.
Like, that's how we got here.
It is, and I'm not like making. I'm not making a defense of Hamas. I'm not condemning Hamas. I'm not doing none of that stuff. But what I'm saying is that if you support, if you don't see the connection between what happened with the Abraham Accords and what happened on October 7th, if you just think that all of a sudden like, oh wow, this was just a random act of violence or whatever that happened on October 7th, you literally are you're either listening to people who are literally the most evil people in the world that are pushing this stuff, or you just have your fingers in your ears and you don't care, and you only want to like support the thing that you already believed before this whole thing started.
Right. No, it's the latter. They don't care because they don't see Arabs and Palestinians as people is the issue. And that's why
if you got your boot on their neck, and you think they're not going to try and like take your leg out, then you're crazy, right?
Right. It's the same way. It's the same attitude that America had in Vietnam. It's like, oh, these backwards farm people, like they can't hurt us. We got B-52 bombers. We can do whatever we want. What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Throw rice patties at us? I mean, literally, that was the conversations. And then all of a sudden, the trees are speaking Vietnamese. Uh-oh. And that's what's happening in Gaza. Oh, these stupid Arabs, they can't hurt us. And now the palm trees are speaking Arabic. And now it's like, how did this happen? It's because you didn't respect them. You thought they were stupid.
And then and then the imperial occupier decides, you know what we need to do? You know what's gonna really stop all this? We'll do horrific acts of violence. We'll bomb refugee camps. We'll destroy cities. That'll show them. That'll stop them from this. No, bruh. You know what that does? You kill a bunch of people, and you get people that are pissed at you forever. Exactly. You have literally created. You gave the steroid shot in the arm that Hamas needed. If you think that Hamas is the boogie woogie man or whatever, you are feeding them. You are putting so much gasoline on that fire that it is going to consume you.
And it's not, and that's a knock-on effect outside of Gaza. It's not just this little plot of land. Our ops are linking up. I mean, Russia is parking warships 90 miles off our coast in Cuba right now. Like the U.S. is going to achieve a world. We're going to make world peace happen, but it wasn't in the way that they designed it. They thought it was going to be. It's going to be everybody against us and going. We can't live in a world with this monster anymore.
Mm-hmm. We are uniting the world against us.
We absolutely are.
The United States is uniting the world against it, and like I'm not somebody who's like, oh yeah, Russia, China, all these things, but like, bruh, I mean, like, what do you expect is gonna happen? You acting crazy. You're a crazy hobo with a machine gun, just like taking out every single thing and you think you're smart about it. Like, you don't think that the other players involved that could potentially do something aren't gonna do something? Like, what are you talking about? It's just basic rational acting.
You might not be like that, but I'm telling you, like, my social credit score is up 30 points just from this episode.
Bro, rail, baby. Let's go,
brother. I pray every night for the great leap forward. Even as a landlord, I'm like, I accept my struggle session. Let's go. But it's like,
I'll take some education. We'll get that taken care of and be on with our lives.
That's why I say Xi Jinping, save us. They got us looking at some kind of crazy flag. Come save us, please. Can you imagine that though? Like, if, like, to be honest, like, I'm not even joking about it. Like, people always talk about, like, you couldn't make Blazing Saddles today. You couldn't do this. You couldn't make this movie because of the libs or whatever. You know what movie you couldn't make today? And this goes back to what I said in the beginning of the episode. Tell you what movie you couldn't make. You couldn't make Red Dawn today.
I knew you were gonna say Red Dawn.
You couldn't make Red Dawn because it'd be like the Cubans would be landing along with the Soviets. And all the kids in this, the Wolverine kids would be like, "Yeah, come on in, dog. We've been waiting for you. Get us out of here."
Did you know that they did remake Red Dawn?
Oh, they did, and it was awful. It was like
North Korea.
Because it was supposed to be China, and then China was like, don't do that." And of course, like, Hollywood said, "Yes, sir." And they're like, "Okay, make a North Korean."
Hollywood makes so much money. There is a reason that John Cena can speak Chinese.
Absolutely, John Cena, baby. White monkey jobs, and that's not a racial thing. That's what they call. If you're one of those influencers like John Cena, like, or what happened to a lot of early. Stop me if I've said this before. You know what happened to a lot of early YouTubers, like what was his name? Joseph Ray Johnson, or, like the people who made like the Annoying Orange, like, early. Man. And you're like, what happened to them? They're all in China. They're all working Chinese, quote unquote, white monkey jobs. And that's what the Chinese people call it. And it's just like, they just get in front of a camera and they go, "China is great. I used to have a YouTube channel. China. Check is cleared." And that's what they do. It's like when you go to Japan, or if you search on YouTube, it's not political, it's capitalist. But like, you're like, Arnold Schwarzenegger was doing in the 90s like Japanese bug spray commercials. What's Tommy Lee Jones has got like a series for Coffee Boss. Like, it's a brand of coffee you can get out of a vending machine. He's got like a whole series. It's like, damn, I didn't know they were doing that. Yeah. But they're doing that in China, just spreading propaganda.
Definitely not mad at any of them getting that bag. Get that bag.
Get it. I'm waiting. Xi Jinping, you need. Good Morning Comrade is a free agent. Anytime you want to send that check, as long as it clears at Navy Federal Credit Union, brother, I'm ready. I'm ready to go, because this is a crazy place, and I'm checking out. I'm ready. Y'all are not on the short list. China is not on my short list of kind of, Cuba is my safety school, but I'm looking at Mexico.
If it's not just G, if you're listening, anybody, look, the price tag is up. We are on Zillow.com. Good Morning Comrade is right there. You can buy us right now.
The tier list goes like this: Northern Ireland, Vietnam, Mexico, Cuba is a safety school. And then China, if the checks are right, it's up there. We're floating that up there. Bro, this is crazy. I'm not trying to be in Rome when it falls.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
goofy.
We're gonna be in Persia when that happens, man. It's gonna be good. We're gonna be all right.
Be gone with it. Out of
or
here.
or I guess what would be if Rome
Northern Iran, where it snows, it'd be like living in Colorado. Go to
Okay.
Northern, I don't want to live in Tehran, but the north, like I'm not even joking about this.
Yeah,
Watch Rick Steves, the PBS guy.
I love
who's
Rick Steves.
super cool, by the way.
He's so dope.
His Iran is really he does Rick Steves in Iran. It's really great. He's like, here
Rick
I am in
Steves
Tehran.
and Anthony Bourdain were like the coolest dudes ever.
Oh, coolest dude. You know, Rick Steves bought like an apartment complex and turned into like low income housing. Yeah,
Mhm.
he was super cool. But anyway, yeah, he's just like, I'm in Tehran and nobody's cut my head off yet. It's weird. He's
Funny
like,
that.
look at this. It says death to America, but people keep inviting me in for tea. It's weird. I don't know. But he went to northern Iran where like it looks like Denver, Colorado. It's just like ski resorts and it's chilling up there. So I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Also, this is one of my favorite photographs of Rick Steves, of him just like holding up a glass of wine, sitting at a piano with like a Chopin like book music in front of him, and he's just like, his wine glass is full of weed, and he's got like a big old green bud in his hands.
That's so great, dude. What a god
ruled.
king. What a god king.
There's the picture right there.
Oh, look at that.
Look at this
The
king.
pot is now used by Muhammad. Hell yeah.
This is like 5 years ago, too.
Let's go, Rick. Oh, he's so cool, dude.
Yeah. Well, anyway, anything on the way out you want to say? We got about 2 minutes left.
Check out, because I'm a car guy, check out Speed Sisters. You can rent it on Amazon Prime for like $3. It's a documentary about the absolutely gorgeous like Palestinian young women who like street race, who like drift. It's and they like outrun the IDF. Like,
So nice.
It's so dope.
Send me a link.
Like, yeah, I will. She's just like, I was one time we were outside of a jail, and we were just looking at our cars, and IDF shoot me with a rubber bullet, and yeah, it hurt. And I'm like, God dang, girl. So there's that. That's a good film for sure. And also Gaza Surf Club is the same thing. It's about people who like smuggle in surfboards so they can surf.
Yeah,
so good. But yeah, that's the.
You mean those beaches that like Israeli like Zionist social media influencers are like posting, like those are our beaches now?
Oh, you mean the beaches where the IDF is just executing
being repels from
Palestinians? Yeah. They're just executing them on the beach, and we have video evidence. People. Yeah, right up the street from their concentration camps that they have. Never again, folks. But terms and conditions apply. Never again, unless you're brown. Yeah,
unless we're the ones doing it.
Absolutely.
Israel, meaning. Anyway, America. Thanks for listening, everybody. This has been Good Morning Comrade. You know, I've been streaming a little bit on Twitch. I've been playing some Guilty Gear Strive. Got my Bridget to level 9, or the 9th floor rather. So yeah, just check us out, twitch.tv/Good Morning Comrade Radio. And you know, maybe we should set up a time where we're playing something together soon.
Heck yeah, I'm back into Diablo 4 because it's not terrible anymore.
All right, well, thanks everybody for listening. This has been Good Morning Comrade. This is WHIV LP New Orleans 102.3. We love you. Bye-bye.